I have a problem. It's that nobody cares about balls. And because nobody gives a fuck, they suck. You are heavily invested in something that doesn't exist right now. The box you are staring at is just a box. But within that box, you can do all sorts of things. How you get around in this environment is up to you. There's the standard way of doing it, but you don't have to abide by that. Some people like being different. This is a trackball. Me love fondling some balls. What is this thing? Why is it so great? These are questions. The trackball was invented after the war. Some countries' navies saw this and made one using a small bowling ball, which is really funny. In the 60s, two Americans sat in a room looking at a trackball. One was scheming to augment human intelligence, and the other one was called Bill English.
Hey, little bitch. We should flip this.
And they proceeded to invent the most annoying thing ever. The ball mouse. And the trackball is still around. How does it work? You scroll the ball and the pointer moves. It feels much like a trackpad because those used to be trackballs. But unlike a trackpad, it is a three-dimensional circle and there is no box limiting your scroll. So, let's say you want to quickly move from one end of the screen to the other. Instead of doing a motion with the same range as an abusive husband beating his wife, you can do a tiny flick of your fingers, much like mercilessly killing a fly. A device typically comes with 2D mouse-like buttons for clicking mouse-like functions. They can come with a scroll ring. Why would I use this? I hear you say.
Oh my god.
You don't need a lot of desk space. There's also something about wrist health that I don't care about, but it's there. But if you find yourself larger or smaller than the average entity, you might find these an inconvenience to use. The palm goes here, fingers here. It is a computer mouse. We've all been around the neighborhood a couple times. Let's be honest, we know how this works. But oh, would you look at that? My fucking hand mouth just ended up consuming the whole thing because according to the manufacturers of this abomination, I am built like my name's Goliath. So after I make my hand spit out the tasty mouse, I get the pleasure of choice. Do I put my joints on the palm rest and click with my fingers, or do I place my palm on the palm rest and click with my finger joint? A difficult decision. I use a trackball because I spend a lot of time on my computer, and this is torture. And I also don't enjoy beating my wife to move a spec that isn't even real. Why do you allow yourself that inconvenience? These are common in studios and it's easy to think they can only be good for music software because they're made by witches who peer into crystal balls. But no, surprisingly, it's like a computer mouse. And if you made me swap it out, I would rather use the ThinkPad clitoris than a computer mouse. Nobody fucking buys these! Do you know why that's a problem? If a thing about a specific trackball sucks, it doesn't matter.
Oh, but then what's the problem?
The few people who own these are so invested that they'll just take it apart and replace the stupid decisions these companies make. Someone on Reddit just made their own, and it's better than any trackball made by a company consisting of over 2 people. Switching out the bearings on the Alcom Huge is almost a mandatory modification. That is like buying a brand new laptop and swapping the whole keyboard. And I do not mean a preference like switching the X230 keyboard to an X220 one. I mean that each key is so stiff that it takes 2 months to break them in and make them functional. My ball is big and has enough buttons considering its size, but the scroll wheel sucks. The bearings are static and collect dust, making small movements imprecise. And it has what feels like an hour of wake-up time. There aren't enough regular people unwilling to rebuild their trackball to make it functional, and thus, there is no practical trackball that you can just buy and use, and additionally you won't have something to bitch about. So, from what I can observe, there's 2 options. Option 1, you can get this 3D printed, open source trackball from 2 guys running a company called Paloopi. Option 2, You can wait for this person on Reddit to start 3D printing their own open source. I love this thing so much, and there's nobody around me who understands that love. I must wonder how the world would be if the computer mouse was never invented. Did that one guy actually augment human intelligence? Was the other one actually English? These are questions that cannot be answered. They have both stood the test of time, but the computer mouse has faults that cannot be fixed. When it comes to ergonomics, the trackball has even more faults, but they are all fixable because they've already been fixed by the average trackball user. Maybe it's not so bad. After all, the stuff that often ends up mattering in the long run are small things. Small things that aren't perfect. I will keep fondling balls.